Have you ever watched two characters together and just known, before anything has even happened, that they're going to completely destroy each other in the best possible way?
This is such a bad idea.
There's something about these two that got under your skin in a way you can't quite explain. And somehow, every single scene leaves you wanting more. That's what Heated Rivalry does from the very first scene. Today, we're getting into exactly that. Why Shane and Ilya don't just fall for each other, but why they keep choosing each other, and why that choice is actually the hardest thing either of them has ever done. If you haven't finished the books or Season 1 yet, this is your spoiler warning. On paper, they make no sense. One guy folds his pants before hooking up. The other announces to a room full of people that he is, in fact, the best player on the ice. They're rivals who play for different teams, grew up in completely different worlds, and cope with everything in completely opposite ways. And yet, from the moment they're in the same space, something is already happening. You can feel it before either of them will admit it. But this isn't really a story about opposites attracting. It's about two people recognizing something in each other they've never been able to name, and slowly, painstakingly deciding to stop running from it.
Does it fucking kill you too? What the more?
If you enjoy these kinds of Heated Rivalry deep dives, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get into it. The easiest thing to say about Shane and Ilya is that they're opposites.
Opposite.
And they are, in a lot of ways, in how they move through the world, how they talk, how they handle attention. But the more you actually sit with who these characters are, the more you realize they're not opposites at all. They are mirrors. They have the exact same wound, just dressed differently. Shane's whole inner world is built around control and anxiety.
You want to make me a tuna mouse?
He plans, he overthinks, he maps out every possible outcome before he lets himself feel anything. And when something comes up that he can't plan around, an emotion that's too big, a conversation that could change everything,
But I also like you.
he suppresses it.
Lucky me.
Not because he doesn't feel things deeply, but because the fear of what happens if something shifts is more overwhelming than whatever he's feeling. His entire sense of safety is built around things staying predictable.
Shane. I can't do this.
Ilya is almost the mirror image of that. Where Shane goes quiet, Ilya goes loud.
What does it fucking matter?
The confidence, the flash, the whole nothing touches me thing. A lot of that is genuinely him. But a lot of it is also a wall he built very early. He grew up with an abusive father and a brother who modeled everything wrong about how men are supposed to be. And then the loss of his mother, the person who gave him softness, warmth, a sense that he was worth loving.
My mother didn't suck. She was great.
When she died, he lost the one safe place he had. So he learned to not need people, to be the one who walks away before someone can decide to leave him. Two completely different presentations, but underneath, the same fear. Being seen too clearly and then rejected anyway. That's what connects them before anything else does. Here's where I think a lot of people undersell this story. Shane and Ilya are not each other's solution. They don't fix what's broken in the other person. What they do is showing up for each other, exactly the way the other person has never had before.
Fuck, I'm scared.
Do you want me to come with you?
Shane is someone whose brain doesn't stop. He overthinks everything.
Enough what?
Questions, you have too many of them.
And Ilya, who is usually the person making everything louder and more chaotic, is somehow the one who grounds him.
Yes, it's scary, but you're brave.
He reassures Shane. He notices when Shane is spiraling and doesn't treat it like a problem to get past. He just stays. Shane has spent his whole life performing calm and collected, and Ilya sees right through it.
Maybe you should wait in the car.
He doesn't flinch. For someone like Shane, that means everything. And it goes beyond that. Ilya doesn't just tolerate Shane's quirks, he genuinely loves them. The pants folding, the ginger ale, the rigid little routines. Where someone else might make Shane feel like he needs to mask harder, Ilya looks at all of it and finds it endearing.
I hired a stylist.
He teases him, sure,
You got, what, tired of looking like shit?
but you can see in his eyes that he loves it. That's a completely different thing than judgment. Ilya makes him feel like exactly enough. Then there's the other side of it. Ilya carries a lot. His mother's death, the weight of his father, sending money home every month to a family that takes without giving back, the guilt of being far away and also the relief of it. Most people in his life only ever see the version of him that he's decided to show them. Confident, untouchable, unbothered. Shane doesn't buy it. And more than that, He actually asks.
Do you even like it there?
He wants to know about Ilya's mom,
And your mother?
about what it was like growing up, about the stuff that's heavy. He doesn't change the subject or make it lighter than it is. And Shane loves the parts of Ilya that Ilya tries to hide.
Will you come to my cottage this summer?
Maybe.
The way he gets quietly nervous in new cities, the softness underneath all the bravado. Ilya has spent his whole life performing for everyone around him. Shane is the first person who never asked him to, who sees through it and stays anyway.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
That's what they give each other. Presents. The specific kind that neither of them has had before. So if they're this good for each other, why does it take approximately forever for them to get there?
That's not what this is. You and me.
Because the same things that make them perfect for each other are also the exact things that make this terrifying. For Shane, the physical part of what they have is almost manageable because he can keep it in a separate box. It exists outside his real life. It doesn't have to mean anything. The moment it becomes emotional, it becomes something that could change.
Fuck.
And change is genuinely one of the most frightening things for Shane. Because asking means risking losing him entirely. And his brain runs every possible worst-case scenario. So he stays where it's safe and says nothing. Ilya's version of this is almost the reverse. He probably knows what he feels way before he's willing to admit it. But knowing it and admitting it are two completely different things. The second he lets himself want this, he's vulnerable in a way he's spent his whole life avoiding. So he does what he always does.
We are not anything. Go away, Hollander.
He self-sabotages a little, keeps one foot out the door, tells himself it's fine either way. He's not going to be the one caught caring too much. Neither of them is coming into this without baggage. Shane carries his in silence. Ilya carries his behind a smile. And two people who clearly want each other still need time to trust something this new. But here's the thing. At some point, they both make the choice that terrifies them most. Shane has to be the one to say it out loud.
I don't think I can keep pretending I don't like you anymore.
He has to have the conversation he's been dreading since the beginning, knowing it could blow everything up. That's not nothing for someone whose whole system is built around avoiding exactly that. And Ilya has to let himself be chosen without immediately sabotaging it. To sit with the fact that someone sees him, really sees him, the grief and the mess and the parts he keeps hidden and wants to stay anyway.
Hey, sorry.
For someone who absorbed the message that he was unlovable before he was old enough to push back on it, that takes everything. And together they grow into it.
Я хочу только тебя.
Not by becoming different people, but by slowly letting more of themselves be real around each other.
I'm glad you're here.
Me too, but also terrified, yes.
Shane loosens his grip on control a little. Ilya drops the performance a little. They meet somewhere in the middle and figure out what it looks like to actually be known by someone.
Is that where you get your boring from?
He's not boring.
By learning that you can be autistic and loved, that you can be depressed and still deserving of someone who stays, that your worst fears about yourself are not the truth. That's not fate. That's not chemistry doing all the work. That's two deeply scared people deciding that the other one is worth the risk.
Do you want that problem to go away?
I don't ever want that problem to ever go away.
I think that's why so many of us are so obsessed with these two. It's not just the slow burn or the rivalry or the tension. It's the fact that Shane and Ilya make you believe that being fully known by someone is actually possible, even when you're scared.
I love you.
Even when everything in you is telling you to protect yourself instead.
I love you too.
If you want more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. And let me know in the comments, is there a Shane or an Ilya in your life? Someone who made it feel safe to be the real you? I'll see you in the next one.